All right, today we're going on a bit of a journey into a hidden aspect of our own minds. We all know what it's like to be awake, to dream, and to be in a deep, dreamless sleep. But what if there's a fourth state, a fundamental reality that's actually holding all of them up? Let's explore the mystery that connects them.
So, think about it. Our entire lives pretty much play out in these three distinct states: waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. We usually see them as completely separate islands of experience. But what if that's not the whole story? What if there's a hidden current connecting all these different territories of our consciousness?
Okay, so before we can even find that connection, we need to get really clear on what it is we're trying to connect. So let's do a quick breakdown of the three states we all experience every single day. So according to this perspective, these states are just fundamentally different. When we're awake, our consciousness is pointing outward at the world. Dreaming? That's a totally internal, subjective movie playing in our heads. And deep sleep? Well, that's defined by not being aware at all. And it's that complete separation that makes the idea of a single, unifying connection so fascinating.
And that brings us to a really fascinating idea, that a hidden territory exists in the transitions between these states. The source material for this explainer has a name for it: the junction point.
So here's the core idea. Every time we shift, from being awake to falling asleep, or from sleeping into a dream, we pass through this junction. It's described as both the source of the state we're entering and the goal of the one we just left. It's this moment of pure potential that we pass right through, every single day without ever noticing.
Right, so what is this junction point exactly? Well, it's kind of defined by what it's not. It's not waking consciousness, it's not dreaming, and it's not deep sleep. The source describes it as an unmanifest reality. You can almost think of it as a state that hasn't taken a specific form yet. It's pure potential, but it's completely real.
And this is where things get really profound. This mysterious, unmanifest junction point isn't just a transition. According to this school of thought, it's actually being proposed as a fourth, fundamental state of consciousness.
So this fourth state has a name: pure consciousness. It's described as this absolute, unchanging field, the very foundation of our waking, dreaming, and sleeping life. It's like the silent, constant screen that the whole movie of our mind is projected onto. I just love this metaphor from the source. It suggests that everything we think of as our reality, waking, dreaming, sleeping, is just the curtain. The real show, the unchanging continuum of consciousness itself, is happening right behind it, and it's always, always there.
Or hey, let's try another analogy to really lock this in. If waking, dreaming, and sleeping are all individual streams of experience, then this fourth state is the huge reservoir that all of those streams flow from. You just can't have the streams without the source, right? Without that big reservoir of consciousness.
Okay, so this all leads to a super logical question, and I bet it's exactly what you're thinking right now. If this foundational state is always there, why don't we notice it?
Right? We just glide right past it every single day, totally unaware. So, what gives?
Well, the answer, according to this framework, is that our awareness simply isn't sharp enough. Basically, our perception is described as too dull or delusive to catch something so subtle. We pass right through that junction point without the clarity to even realize we were there.
So, okay, if the problem is our perception, is there a way to, sharpen it? Is there a way to train our awareness to experience this fourth state directly? Well, the theory says yes, and it lays out a pretty specific path.
The path that's laid out is this journey inward, a process of refining your perception. So you start with your normal, everyday thoughts, right there on the surface. That's the gross level. From there, the mind is guided to appreciate quieter, more subtle levels of that same thought. As the thought gets fainter, you arrive at its subtlest impulse, its very beginning. And then the final step, you just slip past even that finest point, you transcend thought entirely and experience its source directly, that silent junction point, the fourth state.
And listen, this isn't just some abstract theory. This whole process of systematically refining your awareness is actually presented as the core mechanic behind the transcendental meditation technique, which is designed to let the mind settle down and experience this state.
Okay, now here's a really cool twist. This fourth state isn't just hanging out between waking and sleeping. This theory suggests it's also present in the gap between every single thought you have. That tiny, silent space between one thought ending and the next one beginning, that's a mini junction point. It's a little doorway to that same exact reservoir of pure consciousness.
All right, so we've talked about what this state is, how you might get there, but the big question is, so what? Why does any of this actually matter in our day-to-day lives?
Well, this perspective really lays out two very different ways to live. On one side, you have life lived only in those three relative states, behind the curtains, and that's where suffering can really take hold. But on the other side, when you make regular contact with that fourth state, with the reservoir, it actually nourishes and enhances your waking, dreaming, and sleeping life. It leads to what's called an enriched consciousness.
So what's the big payoff here? What's the value? Well, according to this framework, it's huge. It's not about some fleeting experience. It's about fundamentally enriching your entire life. This state is presented as the very source of creative intelligence, the ultimate reality of life, and yeah, the direct path to becoming free from suffering.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question to chew on. We spend our whole lives focused on the content of our minds, our thoughts, our dreams, our perceptions. But what if the ultimate reality of life isn't found in any of them, but in that silent, empty space that lies right in between them?